the Grant Williams game. A DNP versus the Lakers, 27 minutes tonight. Again, 15 points, hits all of his threes.
What does that tell us? There's not going to be a center breaking out on this team. It's by committee. It's just like last year, especially if Tristan keeps playing like this.
I don't think Grant is playing because they need center minutes. I think Grant is playing because they lack wing depth.
That's true tonight, although I think Grant could have played center and had.
And you lack, yeah.
I actually thought that's the direction
again, when you bring in the wings, you bring in guys like Javonte and or Semi. It's a more defensive-minded lineup. I know Semi can stretch the floor and shoot the three, but they are limited in what they can do offensively. Grant theoretically has more offensive tools, even though he's not exceptional at any of them.
You're right.
But he has more things he can do. And so at his best, he gives you more options. The problem is you don't see it enough.
I love this matchup for him. I know you said this was a Rob one, but you look at how small Golden State went in this one. I believe this is the kind of game where they would have had him at center last year. And again, they're completely positionless. So you pretty much have two bigs on the floor. It doesn't really matter which one you call the center. In fact, when they got into the zone looks down the stretch there, Grant was rotating into the middle and protecting the rim a little bit. He had that big block down the stretch, and he got out for a block on Curry as well. So he was contributing defensively in this one. Had a bad foul on Curry late, but in a matchup like this, where all of a sudden Juan Toscano is playing minutes for Golden State at center, you can put Grant out there and have him defend any position and not be overpowered by bigger guys inside. Kevon Looney was not getting it done in this one, and once he got taken out of the fold, James Wiseman injured in this one, obviously. This was the perfect game for Grant to not only find his shot offensively and navigate into the post and do the different things he wants to do on offense, a nice putback off Tice's miss as well. He's able to impact the game defensively. It's like college all over again. Shorter guys, skinnier guys. He can play the middle, post up even a little bit. You've called them the 4A guys. Like that, he is just slammed between like being a great college player, and he really was. Like he was one of the best big men in the country at Tennessee.
A lot of 4A players.
And now, like when the game gets big and the skilled big men and this powerful big men coming at him inside, it takes him out of the game, and we know he's not fast enough for the wing. We know he's not able to stay with the guards and all that kind of stuff. So he's just always right on the edge of being effective and not. But you said it, all the skills there. He knows what he wants to do offensively, his shot. I mean, if we're looking at the sample size
No. There is no Grant apology cam, guys.
No, but I don't think it's apology cam, but I think it's worthy of considering that there can be games where he is effective.
We said this early in the year too, because there is no obvious rotation. It's going to be matchup dependent, flow dependent, and oftentimes just playing hot hands or benching cold hands for whatever, if that's an expression, you know? So you try something out, you see like, I don't like this tonight. This guy doesn't have it. This matchup's not great. And you kind of tweak it on the fly. You have those games where Javonte comes out of nowhere with 20 minutes and it was like, okay, feels like that's what the game needed. I actually think, it's hard to criticize Brad for rotations because I do think he's figuring it out on the fly every game without he has an idea, but he looks out there and says, this isn't working. And he's really got to feel what the game needs. And it is different every single night because between those guys, you really can see any combination of minutes on any given night and not be super shocked by it.
I think that hurts.
And the problem is that's the reason it's going to be criticism, Bobby, is every single time it happens and these guys perform to their level, which is admittedly not a super high level. It's easy to criticize them and say, it's almost like bad relief pitchers, You pull your starter out of the game. You bring some guy out of the pen who normally works the 6th or 7th inning. He's not your closer. He's not your setup guy. He's not a late inning protect the lead guy. And those guys get knocked around all the time. And it's like, why didn't you bring this guy? There is no this guy. They're all those middle reliever types. They're all okay. And when they perform poorly, which happens because they're not great, you're always going to say, why didn't you play the other guy? When the other guy might not have performed any better either. So they're in a tough spot. I think so is Brad too. So I'm sympathetic.
And he has to do it. It hurts the team. It's evident. It hurt them on Wednesday against the Spurs, going too deep and throwing too many mixes and matches out there when guys aren't able to find a rhythm. But when you hit walls like they often do with Teague and sometimes with the big men as they did early in this game, yeah, I think that's deserved. 54 points tonight. I was looking at their.
We've never discussed a reverse apology, Cam.
We're just gonna have to Photoshop in reverse at the top of it on the graphic we already have. Yeah. I think the reverse apology cam's coming soon on the Raptors. I see them in the playoffs the way they're getting it together now.
Right.
They've been exciting to watch. And again, like this is just further example that this year in particular, I've been trying to cool the criticism of the Celtics, especially through this stretch, because between rotations and injuries and a mismatched center position.
I'm with you. I don't think any of it matters. My takeaways are always Jalen and Jason are awesome and ready to win a title now. I want to see Kemba be better. The rest of these guys are a bunch of Jags, and they're interchangeable. And some nights you're going to like them, and some nights you're going to hate them. So I don't know if help is on the way this year. You just got to kind of live with it. I think it's hard to, night in, night out, it's hard to, get too worked up over some things because there's no easy answers on this team right now and on this bench right now. I'd love to see a full roster. I really want to see that full roster fully healthy with Nesmith having some confidence, Romeo coming off the wrist injury, Pritchard back, Smart back. So maybe in a month or so, you might feel better about the rotations. It's going to be really hard now.
So I sent you my grades for the team so far earlier. Yeah. I think there's more quality role players here than you're giving credit for. Smart, I think you can effectively call him a B to start this year. I'd say that's above Jag level. Tice, I'd give him a B so far. I think he's
that's great. You're just counting on them for too many important minutes, and I mainly mean that rotation of trying to figure out between Semi and Grant and Javonte and Teague. There's just a lot of guys, one or two of these guys is going to play 20-something minutes every single night, and you don't love that. They're really more 8 to 10-minute guys. I'm not saying Tice. Tice is absolutely going to earn whatever he's going to get, and I don't mind that 3 big rotation, even though I want to see more Williams than Tristan.
I'd give Rob a B too.
Yeah.
So there's some reliable guys here. I think on the whole, if we're looking at the big picture of this team, even Javonte Green and Semi Ojeleye are in that like B- range. And I know they haven't been spectacular. The returns are starting to diminish a little bit. You're seeing it. They're not as effective as they were a couple weeks ago. Thesis is not a B. That actually is how some people say that. It drives me crazy. Yeah. Tice has had like 15 points a game in recent weeks. He's been pretty good.
I think Tice is exactly what he is, and he has value. Do I wish he was somebody else? Maybe, but I can live with. You absolutely can live with Tice for what he brings. I think you get the most out of Tice that you can get. It's
in recent weeks as he's gotten more used to that wing role.
Yeah.
I think he's adjusted to that wing role pretty quickly too. I think in the last few weeks he's been close to 40% from 3. That miss on the kick out tonight was tough. It's like you look at his percentage in the final 2-3 minutes of a game and it just falls off a cliff. You don't want him shooting those kick out threes in crunch time. And if he's out there, he's probably going to have to if he's open, but it never seems to go well. Throughout the flow of the game though, and I think he did have another one tonight, I felt pretty good about him hitting those kick out threes. So, that's how I feel generally about all the wings. They all have shown to be pretty good catch and shoot 3-point guys. The defense is irking me. I definitely see slippage from Javonte and Semi on that end of the floor, and you saw it again tonight.
And Jalen, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this team's defense is just infuriating.
Jalen's a little in and out, and Tatum's a little in and out. And honestly, you see this happen sometimes, and it's inevitable. You have players who are still proving their worth in this league. Early on, you're going to get a night in, night out defensive effort with a few brain cramps along the way. But as soon as you ascend to legit superstar status and you recognize these games are pretty freaking meaningless, and when the lights are on, it's my time to shine, you might see some slippage. I wonder if Jalen and Jason are going through that a little bit, which is kind of like, I take some plays off here and there. They're not full Harden, but I don't see the every trip down the floor sort of.
You feel that with this team as a whole.